Spider-Man PS4 game. Alright!
Everything's turning black. Still don't know how I'm gonna make it back to the Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time.
There have been plenty of great Spider-Man adaptations. The 90s cartoon, Spider-Man Unlimited, and Spectacular Spider-Man are some of my most personal favorites. But what about the Spider-Man games? I feel we never really got the perfect one. Yeah, there are some good ones, particularly the two on PlayStation, Spider-Man PS1, and its sequel, Spider-Man Enter Electro, are pretty fun. I do like those. Even though the sequel isn't as good as the first game, it's still a title worth having in your collection. Spider-Man 2 the movie game, awesome web swinging, and a fun open world to explore. And Ultimate Spider-Man was basically the comic version of that. And then you have the PS2 version of Spider-Man 3. PS3 version was not that much better. Web of Shadows is basically the apology of the Spider-Man 3 game. Shattered Dimensions was a nice callback to the PS1 era. I really enjoyed that one. Edge of Time I didn't get to play though. I really do want to end up playing that. And then we get more movie-based games. I was getting really tired of this. Amazing Spider-Man games. Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer looked pretty neat, but the game didn't look like that.
You can notice right away that the web swing mechanic feels different. Spidey's webbings now connects with buildings and objects in the environment, rather than attaching to invisible points in midair.
But it all was bullshit. It was a goddamn joke. And when I think of you, I hope you fucking choke.
Finally, after Activision loses the rights to Spider-Man games, Insomniac and Sony give us what we've all been waiting for. Spider-Man PS4 lets you know it's going to be a sensational experience simply by the opening of the game, and the cinematic transitions into gameplay are seamless. The story is superb. It takes all of the elements from the previous Spider-Man adaptations and makes something new. This is refreshing if you are aware of the comics, so you don't really know where the story will go, but you're still intrigued to what will happen next.
Made it this far. But your foolishness ends now.
You do know I can still see you, right?
8 years of this insolence.
Oh, for me? You shouldn't have.
Boss battles are a little repetitive, however, the combat is so fun it doesn't ruin the overall experience. You can either web up Kingpin, followed by a web strike, or slide under him and punch and kick him in the face, causing damage. His second stage adds his minions into the fight, but you still use the same tactics to beat him. Despite this flaw, Marvel's Spider-Man has a fantastic opening level to a game I've played in a while.
So, should we kiss now? Yeah, maybe later.
There are many suits to acquire, all with their own respective suit powers that can be interchanged to your liking. You can also add mods which give you buffs, like more damage, or an electric shock to an enemy when your health is full. All suits are unlockable in the game. Thankfully, there are no microtransactions. Most of the side missions are fun in the game, but you do have to unlock more of the map with these towers, kind of like Assassin's Creed. I don't really care for that, but it is what it is. Then you have these other missions like research stations, which are all about saving the environment, and you use Peter's intelligence to solve the side missions. They are pretty interesting and fun, and what I like about them is they're all unique and different, and they're not copy and paste, which I originally thought that they were going to be, but thankfully that was not the case. Some other side missions have you working with the police, finding a missing person, and then 2 secret side villains. But I do wish more of the side missions led up to boss fights with more of Spider-Man's rogues gallery, like Hammerhead, Chameleon, stuff like that. Or hell, collecting pigeons could have led up to a Kraven the Hunter battle or a Vulture battle. That'd be pretty funny. I love the collectible backpacks you can find in the game. The objects inside of them give you an insight to the lore Insomniac has created for their adaptation of Spider-Man, and there's even some references to certain movies in some of the backpacks, which is really
I
funny.
thought web swinging would let me get pizzas delivered fast. And it did. Fast and smashed.
Now it's time to address what we've all been waiting for, the web swinging. To put it simply, it's like Spider-Man 2 combined with Ultimate Spider-Man, and what you get is Spider-Man Ps4. It's also quite easy to pick up and play, but there are quite a few moves that help you traverse around the city in style. The dive bomb mechanic is great for getting to the lower street levels of Manhattan quickly, and when timed with the web swing, just before you hit the ground, your swing speed increases greatly. The web zip in the air helps maintain your altitude or redirect your movements by using the camera and pressing the bottom 2 left and right triggers. The point launch is great for maintaining your momentum over rooftops when buildings are not high enough for you to web swing. You get a massive boost when doing this if timed correctly. The charge jump is self-explanatory. You can also do this while running and swinging to propel you forward. To wall run, all you do is hold down the R2 button next to a wall. Spider-Man will sprint up no problem. You can also press X to move faster, or hold R2 while swinging next to a wall. Spidey will run along the side, tap circle, and he can move around the corner back into swinging. Air tricks are executed using the triangle and circle buttons, combined with the direction of the left analog stick. The wall crawling needs some work. You press X to web zip, but it helps you stick to the wall sometimes, but it doesn't always work, depending on the camera placement. There needs to be a button specific for this to wall crawl. The biggest improvement to take away from this system is the traversal over rooftops and parkour mechanics. You can swing for hours in this game, it's so fun. The combat is a massive overhaul from the previous Amazing Spider-Man games, which were already abysmal to begin with. Gone are the days of pressing one button to counter everything and mashing buttons to win. The fighting in Spider-Man Ps4 consists of a dodge button that does not counter. You can use the left analog stick for manual accuracy with the dodge button, thus giving the player full control. The square button punches enemies. You can hold this to launch them in the air, then continue your assault. You can press triangle to an enemy far away to close distance, or hold it for a web throw when an enemy is webbed up. There's just so much variety here, and the gadgets swing Spider-Man PS4 into the next level. And the gadgets you can choose from can all be upgraded. The web shooter is used to web up enemies for a web throw, or when they are close to a wall or down, they will get stuck. The web shooter cannot be spammed. This adds to the immersion of being Spider-Man. I do wish you could collect web fluid like in the older PS1 games, but this is a pretty good balance system. The impact web is great for one-shotting enemies near a wall. You get a limited amount, so it's not too OP. The trip mine can subdue up to 2 enemies at once. The web bomb is great for crowd control, stunning a group for a short time to help plan your next move. The spider drones you send out distract enemies. The electric web shots can link up to multiple enemies, stunning a group all at once. The concussive blast is pretty funny to use, it just blows groups of enemies away. The suspension matrix is great for dealing with enemies in the air, and if you want to hold them in place for an air combo. There are light stealth mechanics in Spider-Man PS4, although I wish the AI was a bit more responsive. It is still quite fun to pick off enemies from afar via purge takedowns and other sorts of things, but stealth doesn't really matter in the long run when it comes to the demon warehouses and base side missions, because at the end of each one you still have to fight waves of enemies, so there's really no point in using stealth in these side missions in the first place. Spider-Man PS4 makes me appreciate Spider-Man again. So thank you Insomniac Games, and director Brian Intihar, for giving us fans
True superhero action thriller, packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, more supervillains than you can shake a web at, and of course, non-stop web-slinging, wall-crawling action.
New suit, same old me.